Right now, we're talking to two people who have lived through a tragedy like this, a school shooting. Frank DeAngelis was the principal at Columbine High School in 1999 when 12 students were shot and killed. Craig Scott's sister, Rachel, was one of the victims. The pictures we are seeing here look so much like, unfortunately, what we saw at Columbine, those terrible images.
Yeah, the kids coming out with their hands up. And Frank, let's talk to you first. I mean, we've been through this many times, unfortunately. I am frustrated. The country is frustrated. You know, politicians come out of the woodwork and talk about how sad they are. People come out of the woodwork, say this has to stop. You said that yesterday. Will it ever stop?
It seems to get worse.
It just seems to get worse.
We need to come together, and we hear all the rhetoric, but what actions are being done? You know, and what we're hearing now is some of the signs that were out there. You know, the kid was expelled, and did people know? Did they report it? So many times in these situations, these shooters or these killers are broadcasting, and we got to take every threat seriously. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, I was dealing with the faculty from Kentucky. I mean, these are happening far too quickly, and there's got to be lessons learned.
Do we actually have more warning signs now because of social media?
Most definitely, and I think what we need to do, I think parents need to be involved in their kids' lives to find out what they're doing through social media. And there's warning signs out there. Yeah. And this kid, I mean, he was talking about what he wanted to do, and I think we got to take every threat seriously.
He seemed like a real loose guy because he'd lost both his parents last year. He was living with a friend's family, and they knew he had the AR-15, but, you know.
Well, you know, and even after Columbine, or prior to Columbine, there was a hit list out there, and it was turned over, and we needed to get a search warrant to execute this looking at the house. We may have been able to prevent it. So I think we got to stop, at least got to stop, you know, and we got to reach up and say enough's enough, and we got to do some things.
You know, every time we see this, which now is just too often, it hits so close to home. I know it hurts physically.
I think there have
when
been,
you see this.
I think there have been 18 school shootings this year alone.
I know. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Craig, I want to ask you, because I know it hits very close to home for your family, but the program that you have developed, talk about that a little bit with Rachel's Challenge. My kids have been through it, so we know, and it talks about situations like this, right?
I think everybody is frustrated when they hear more of these things happening, and I think people kind of feel helpless because we feel like, what can we do? But I do feel like there are answers to these issues. There's problems that are happening and within teens' hearts, and that's what we focus on. I believe that the biggest antidotes to this anger and hatred going on with teens is kindness and compassion, and helping them feel connected to one another, to a community.
How do we do that? I mean, I have teenagers, so we see the pain that many of them have, some of that from bullying, some of that from other things, but how do we start that?
Well, that's what we focus on, is things that we can do every day in our daily lives with the people that we interact with, and how we reach out to that how do we reach out to that student that is so disconnected. It's not easy. That person could be very negative, they could be very in a dark place, they could be angry, but it takes somebody stepping out in love to have a little courage and speak some truth into that person's life. But that's the kind of, I mean, we've seen at Rachel's Challenge, we have 7 documented cases of school shootings that were prevented, where a student after a presentation came up and said, I had a hit list, I was ready to go at my school, and hearing your sister's story and hearing these challenges that you give really challenged me. And so that's what we focus on.
It's going to take that involvement, won't it?
Well, and I think Craig touches upon a key point, and I think I really became a better principal after Columbine because I did reach out to those kids, because so many times as adults we find people that tell us what we want to hear, and that may not be a good measure of the climate in the school. And when I walked over to the smoking pit at Columbine or the skate park or the shopping mall to say, guys, why aren't you in class? And they said, we don't feel a part of your school. And I really made a concerted effort to bring them in, inclusive. And when you have schools such as Columbine, 1,700 kids, trying to make everyone feel welcome is tough. But these kids need to know that you care. One adult can make all the difference.
And one other kid can make all the difference.
Right. Exactly
Adults reaching out and kids reaching out to each other.
And we got to work together.
Thank you so much for both of you for coming in.
Keep our fingers crossed. Fred, thank you very much.
Thanks for all you do, too, making a difference. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Thank you all so much.
Thanks.